Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to be talking about what is the best online MBA program or a program that can be completed either primarily or entirely through distance online education. Now, one of the things that I actually want to talk about first before we go into this is the fact that many of the programs that are offered through online or distance education do have an on-campus component. Now, this can actually range from a couple of days to a couple of weeks to the entire duration of the program. There are, however, a few programs that don't have any on-campus components, so this might be something that you take into consideration before you actually commit to any one program. Now, before we go into it specifically, there's actually two ways we can look at this specific question, and I hope to address both of them in this particular segment. Now, the first way is what is the best ranked program you can get primarily through distance education? Now, this is going to apply to people who are looking for the highest ranked program. They're not necessarily as focused on the financial aspect of the degree, either because they're going to be sponsored almost entirely or partially by their employer, or they happen to be in a financial situation where they're more focused on getting the best ranked program and the most prestigious program, so to speak, as opposed to getting a program for the best cost, so to speak. So that's going to be one way of approaching it. Now, the other way of approaching it, which I imagine is going to be applicable to the majority of the people watching this, is what is the best program you can receive primarily through distance online education for the best cost. Now, this is going to apply to people who maybe have a little bit of corporate sponsorship behind them as well, but are probably going to be funding it either through some financial loans that they take out or out of their own pocket as well. And so maybe they have other family commitments, or they have other personal or professional obligations where they can't attend a non-campus component, and they want a program for the best price that's going to give them a very solid academic foundation as well. And so we're going to focus on this particular way of approaching the question first. And one of the schools that happens to fall in this category is the University of Massachusetts Amherst, which is one of the most well-known state schools in the United States. And the great thing about this program is the fact that it's not only coming from a very well-known school, so you're going to have a very strong academic pedigree behind you, but it's also priced very fairly as well. And so you kind of have a nice blend of getting a degree from a school that's not only really well recognized domestically, but is going to be well recognized in many other countries as well too, if that's something that's going to be important to you. Now, the second program I want to focus on is kind of newer to this specific list, but it's the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, which is actually one of my favorite MBA programs right now because I think that they're doing a lot of innovative things. But the great thing about this program is it's actually classified as an IMBA program because they do have a technology partner that they're working with. And the great thing is that they're actually blending massively open online coursework with their traditional MBA program that's being delivered through distance education. It's priced extremely well given the reputation of the school and the quality of education that you're going to receive. It's below 25,000 US dollars, which I think is very, very fair, given the fact that this program is regularly within the top 100 MBA programs around the world. So it is a very strong program in and of itself. And the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, as an institution, is fairly well recognized, both domestically and internationally as well. Another really interesting thing about this program is the fact that there are no on-campus components to it as well. So if that's something that's really important to you, this is probably the program you want to look at. And the other awesome thing is there is a certain level of flexibility that comes along with the program in terms of how you actually start the degree. So because they have partnerships with a technology partner that's going to be delivering massively open online courses, you have the ability to take a couple of courses before you actually formally get admitted to the program if this is a direction that you happen to want to take. So another program that's definitely worth looking at as well. Now, the third one is actually going to be a little bit less known, but I wanted to include this in this particular list because I imagine there's probably going to be some people out here who are listening to this segment who would really love to pursue an MBA program, but really don't have the financial means at all. And they're really looking for a program from a recognized institution, but if it's not within their budget, it's really not something that they can pursue at all, and they're just not willing to take out loans or any of the other things, which is completely understandable as well. And so I would urge people to look at some of the state schools in Texas, and there's actually a couple that I'm going to focus on right now. Texas A&M Commerce is a great institution to look at, but also West Texas A&M as well. Have been providing online distance education in the business field itself for quite a long period of time. And the great thing about these programs is the fact that they're priced reasonably, and they're going to provide you with a quality education from an institution that you're probably very familiar with, that's probably going to fall within your budget. And the great thing about them is if you actually amortize them over a number of years as well, if you have some type of personal development credit associated to your current workplace, you might be able to offset the costs even further from there. So wanted to include this list. It's probably not as well known as some of the other two that I've included in there as well. But even though those are priced fairly well, they can still be prohibitive to some people who still can't find the financial means to pursue those particular programs as well. So the third option there is something else for you to look at if you're specifically concerned about the costs in general. Now, the second way of actually approaching this question is the best, most prestigious programs you can receive primarily through distance education. Now, the first one I want to start off with is UNC, because they've been providing the online MBA program for quite some time now. And for the longest time, they were amongst one of the most prestigious programs, if not the most prestigious program that's being offered through distance online education in the United States of America. Now, the program itself is fairly pricey as compared to some of the other options that I was discussing, but when you look at international rankings, domestic rankings, reputation of the school, the program itself is very, very strong in terms of its presence within the marketplace, in terms of its alumni placements and that type of thing as well. So you're going to be getting a program that is very rigorous, but at a higher cost as well. Their placement statistics for their on-campus component, or their actual on-campus version of the degree, has always been very, very strong. I imagine similar results to the online component as well, but I also imagine that a lot of people in the online component are probably going to be working full-time as well, so that might be something else to take into consideration as well. So if you're looking for the best ranked program, this has got to be one of the ones that you consider first. Now, the second one has actually been, for the longest time, one of my favorite programs because of the fact that they've actually embraced distance online education for such a long period of time, which I really, really love. The Kelley School of Business has been providing their online MBA program for quite some time now, but the other thing that I really love is the fact that they also deliver a lot of their other online specialized master's degrees as well. So you can have your master's of finance as an example, master's of strategic management, and so they have some other specialized degrees as well. So if the MBA itself isn't really suited for what you're looking for, they do have some other academic programs that might be more beneficial to what it is you're looking to get out of the program. So this has, for the longest time, been one of my favorite programs to look at. Now, these two that I just mentioned, UNC and the Kelley School of Business, will have an on-campus component. I believe it's a few weeks throughout the entire program, so it isn't anything too substantial. It might be something that you'll have to come into town for and spend a little bit of time, which I actually think is a very, very strong component of the actual degree, because not only are you going to be able to forge some relationships with people in person, be able to meet a lot of the the instructors and meet a lot of the professors in person, but that's really how you're going to establish a lot of the connections that you wouldn't necessarily be able to establish as strongly over entirely online programs. And this is particularly true for people who live in different time zones, who are completing the program perhaps at different paces or taking different types of courses, or are just studying at completely different times. So you don't really have a whole lot of opportunities to interact with them or even know that they might be someone who's going to be helpful to you and to your career, and to help make you as successful in the program as possible. Now, the third one that we actually want to focus on is USC, which is a much pricier program as well. They are based in California, so you have to take that into consideration as well. USC itself has been a program that's regularly been amongst one of the top ranked MBA programs in most of the top 100s lists for a lot of years. So that's something else to consider as well. The program itself, given the fact that it is in California, tends to, from what I've seen, have a strong placement in and around this area. If you look at their placement statistics, this is also something else to take into consideration. If you're looking at salary reports as an example, if they're placing a large amount of people or a higher percentage of people within the California region, you want to take this into consideration, what this is going to mean for you if you don't live in that area, you don't want to relocate to that area, and what the costs of living are to kind of offset that as well too. So it's another program that should definitely be on your radar if you're looking at top ranked programs primarily delivered through distance or online education. Now, one of the other ones I want to add on to this, I focus primarily on schools based in the United States, but one of the ones, if you are open to an international program, IE Business School does have a very, very good global MBA program that you might want to look into as well. They do have some on-campus components to it as well, and so that's something else that you might have to consider if this is a barrier to entry for you, so to speak. But academically, they rank amongst one of the top programs internationally for many, many, many years. And so it's something that you definitely don't want to overlook if you are in the market for a school that potentially is overseas. The other thing you want to consider with this, however, is whether or not the actual academic rigor of the program and the prestige that comes along with the program is going to be recognized domestically. So that's largely going to depend on what industry you're in, where you're currently working, what your career goals are, and whether or not the actual alumni community is strong enough where you want to work to be able to provide you with a return on investment that you're looking for that particular degree. So that's kind of a brief overview of the programs I wanted to focus on now. Now, use this as a starting point because what you're going to find is you're finding that year after year, there's more and more programs that are opening up online components, either entirely or partially. And so you're going to find that you're going to come across dozens and dozens of programs, and this is designed specifically for people who are pursuing or looking at pursuing an online MBA program for the very first time, and are just kind of looking at a starting point at what's available in the marketplace and where they should actually start. And hopefully these programs will lead you to some other programs that might fit well with you personally. It might provide you with the best return that you're specifically looking for. So hopefully this is useful to you, and if you have any other suggestions for other programs that maybe should be included in a future iteration of this, or if you're attending any of these online MBA programs or a program from another school, love to hear your experiences in the comment section below. Thank you so much again for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.